Bill Gertz, how do we have guys like you around town that have been warning people about this, kind of been Cassandra, and you've got the head of the CIA, the thing we spend, what, $100 billion outside the defense budget just on intelligence. You got guys like Wilder who are, if not compromised, just give you the tributary state version of America kowtowing to the CCP. How does that work at the CIA and our intelligence apparatus? Because when I first got in the White House, I said, this thing's a joke. These people are clowns. This is a clown show. Bill Gertz.
Yeah, it's not limited to just the intelligence agencies, the military as well. And this is true of the current chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. When he was Army Chief of Staff, he came out and said blatantly that China was not a threat. He didn't regard China as a threat. So there's a fundamental misunderstanding within the intelligence community and the top ranks of the military, and there has been, although it's been somewhat changing, especially under Trump. There were some revolutionary changes. But a person like Dennis Wilder, by the way, who on his Twitter page boasts of that he was the editor of the President's Daily Brief. So for years, he was censoring all of the threat information about China for several presidents, going back to Bush. And so this is the kind of thing they did. These guys, these elites, they felt that it was their job to, quote, protect senior leaders from the real truth about China, because they had this pie-in-the-sky notion that China was somehow evolving into a non-threatening, non-communist state. And for 40 years, as I pointed out in Deceiving the Sky, my book, that they were totally wrong.
Deceiving the Sky is the best book out there on this topic. By the way, it's also the Thucydides trap. They believe America's in decline. They believe America's in decline by the elites. They know it. They've pushed it, and they think China's rising. So they want to cut a deal where, we get benefits of kind of nudging them in a more liberal way when we're really taking on being more of a authoritarian government. What are your recommendations? I know you got a bounce, Bill. The one or two things you think must happen immediately that the Republican MAGA wing has to force to make sure we avoid a kinetic war in the South China Sea and the Straits of Taiwan in 2025, sir?
2 words: information warfare. I wrote a whole book about this called I War. We need to go on the offensive against the Chinese. If I were in charge of all U.S. policy towards China, I could make the Communist Party go away within a matter of months. All we need to do is to sow greater divisions and create fissures within the top leadership, and the whole thing would come crashing down. We need to get the message of freedom. The Chinese people hate the Communist Party of China. They want to get rid of it. Just yesterday, there's some thousands of people are turning out in Wuhan. There's protests all over the country. If we could use properly our information and get the truth into the Chinese people, they would get rid of the Chinese Communist Party. So that's my recommendation. We've got to step up our game. Right now, we're limited to something at the State Department called the Global Engagement Center, which has been focused on Russia for the past 10 years. And now they've got to focus on China. We've got to step up our game in the information sphere.
By the way, Bill Gertz says exactly like we said. In 100 days, Lao Beijing would overthrow the Chinese Communist Party. But remember, of the 1.4 billion people, or 1.3 billion, however they calculate it now, there's less than 90 million communists. And quite frankly, only a handful. It's 5 families or 4 or 5 families that run the deal. Those factions fight each other all the time. It's a very tiny. They're not a legitimate government, and they know. They worry about their legitimacy all the time. Wang Qishan worries about it. The biggest thing we've done is get people focused on CCP, not China or the Chinese people. They hate that. Remember, these are the wealthiest families on earth. They make the sheiks in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf Emirates look like pikers. They've stolen more money. The Chinese people would overthrow these folks in 100 days. You cut them off from capital, you cut them off from technology, you go full information warfare, and Lao Beijing will take care of it. Trust me.